It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview a sports business owner, Brian Snow, who owns Snowman in the Morning Digital Media. How are you doing today?
I am very, very well. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Can you talk about how you got started in the sports business world?
Well, I called my first game in 1995, and it was purely off of an idea because I was at Chicago State University, and my friend Kevin had checked out a camera. And I said, "Can you attach a microphone to that camera?" And he said, "Sure. What do you have in mind?" And I was already dressed because I had another project to do. And the coach at the time was Craig Hodges, former Chicago Bulls sharpshooter. And without any notes and just rosters, I did my best impression of Jim Durham, and that was my first call. And been rolling since. This is my 25th year in covering sports.
Well, that's an amazing career. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to be a sports commentator?
Many years of watching Bulls games and many years of watching Bears games, and my two of my favorite voices of all time are Wayne Larrivee and Jim Durham. Jim Durham gave me the bug because I was a faithful listener to him until he unfortunately passed away in 2012. I've listened to Wayne Larrivee call Bears and Packers games, and I had the pleasure of meeting him in 2013 at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Some others I've listened to, Jack Buck, Harry Carey, Vin Scully, Vern Lundquist, many, many others. But Jim Durham gave me the bug to get started in it.
How is it like to meet your favorite commentator that you knew that you wanted to get started?
It was fun. I was on assignment at Hinkle Fieldhouse to cover UIC women's basketball as they played Butler. And I happened to recognize Wayne Larrivee. I recognized his face, so I went over and I introduced myself to him. We had a nice chat while he was laying the groundwork for his men's broadcast tonight with former Bull Dickie Simpkins. And he gave me a fist bump before I went on air. And my partner next to me that day said, "If the women win, you have to use his tagline, 'There is your dagger.'" Well, they won, and on a free throw, I got a chance to use it.
That's amazing that you got to use his tagline. What are some of the accomplishments that you've achieved so far being a sports commentator?
25 years in the business, had a chance to see some different places that I loved seeing on television, including Hinkle Fieldhouse. Met a few of my favorites. Wayne Larrivee is one. Baseball announcer, had a chance to meet John Rooney when he was with the White Sox for many years. And just having a chance to see the different athletes from over the years and how I've had an influence on them, because I've called mostly high school and college games over my career.
Can you talk about the difference between calling college and high school games?
And I had a chance to.
Can you talk about the difference between calling high school and versus college games?
A little tougher prep for high school games, because sometimes, depending on the school that you work with or a set of schools that you work with, the information's not as readily available as it is with colleges. With colleges, I've always had a set of game notes with me. I was able to carve out my spotting boards that I needed. And I've learned to translate that to the high school game, even when information is not available. So it takes a lot more research, number one, with high schools. And number two, takes a few more phone calls to get all the information that you need.
Can you talk about your business, the Snowman Digital Media?
Well, Snowman Digital Media is my production company, and it produces my morning show, Snowman in the Morning, my podcast, Snowman Unfiltered, and it's kind of morphing into an ESPN kind of site, but only with podcasts. The only time that I do news is when I speak it vocally, and that's the kind of site that I want to bring. A lot of people still read articles, but I want to do better and have people take them on the road with them, and that's why in the very near future, what I'm going to do, instead of typing out the articles, I'm going to voice them.
That's a wonderful idea. Can you talk more about the Snowman in the Morning and what that is?
I started that on a dare, actually. Back home in Chicago, I was talking sports with a friend of mine, and someone actually pulled me aside before I covered a Chicago Sky game, and they said, "Why don't you start a sports show?" I said, "I don't know how." And they said, "Okay, we dare you to start one. We know that you'll figure it out, and you already have the equipment, so use it." So, a couple weeks worth of research, and I dove right in, and I started Snowman in the Morning 7 years ago this month, and it was an hour. It's now expanded to 2 hours, and it may expand again because the producer that I have now has been absolutely wonderful in getting everything done, making sure we're ready for air, and I will just say that some high profile guests are on the way. So there may be another expansion in time.
Who are some of the people that you've interviewed already for the Snowman in the Morning?
I've interviewed Diamond Dallas Page, Cliff Levingston, Lee Woodall, 49er player who I will have on later this week, Glenn Parker, former Buffalo Bill, former Miami Dolphin Richmond Webb, and former White Sox hero Jeff Blum are among some of the folks that I've had on.
Can you talk about how you go about getting some of those former players?
Well, like I said, it's a lot of research. I got Jeff Blum quickly because I reached out to him and I didn't think I'd hear back from him. With some of these players, it takes going through representatives and going through their agents, which I totally understand. But with Jeff, I reached out to him. I told him I have the radio call of your home run from the 2005 World Series. He got back to me within 30 minutes and said, "Let's schedule the call. Let's do it." So I had him on, and we covered a good half hour.
That's wonderful that you got to have that interview with him within just short of a time.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of your other future plans for your media company?
I plan to do some more play-by-play, researching a couple of organizations that have reached out to me, and I want to distribute play-by-play, and I want to give people a chance that want to get in the business. I want to give them a chance also. So, working with a couple of friends of mine, trying to get a blueprint together on how to put it together and how to distribute it. But I want to make a difference in people's lives.
That's wonderful. That brings me to my next question. What advice would you give somebody looking to get into sports broadcasting, doing like play by play?
Have recorder will travel. You never know when you're going to be at a game, and you never know when you're going to find yourself talking about it. But you know what? If you have a recorder, you can do it the way Dick Enberg used to do before he went to hone his craft at Central Michigan. Be in the stands and record yourself doing play by play. That's how I got started because I would listen to Bulls games and I'd go to bed and I'd listen to them and I'd try to repeat everything that I heard. That's how I got started. So a tape recorder got me started and it can get other people started too.
What advice would you give sports business owners looking to start up their own sports media company?
Go for it. Absolutely go for it. There's nothing that the internet cannot hold. And as long as the internet's here, the times will just have to catch up to it, because I look at the Oakland A's and I look at the Los Angeles Kings going exclusively to internet, which is something that my former partner and I did in 1995 when we started. We went exclusively to the internet in 2000, and now it's just taking a lot of people. It's just taking a lot of teams and people to catch up to something that we started.
That's wonderful. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
They can find my show at official SIT Morn. That's official SIT Morn. And also, you can look me up at B Snow Multimedia.
Thank you again, Brian, for your interview, and best of luck in both media companies moving forward.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Brian, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.